This image is really crazy. Like I thought it
Damn.
was water at the bottom at first, maybe, but
It
now I have
is.
no idea what I'm looking at. Now that's bigger.
So I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Flowers.
It's Catalonian. He's Catalonian, and I thought I had it right, and then I think I was talking to, I mentioned his name to Anna Morgan, and apparently she knows how to pronounce it correctly. And I'm like, Jaume Llorens is like how I tried to say it, and the way she sounded it, it sounded like it was like no, it's pronounced Mike Smith. It was like completely like
Yeah, like
That's so good.
I was like, how do you get that out of that name? She's like, that's just how it's pronounced. I'm like,
That is
The
so
J
good.
is a K and the double L is a Z. So yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I don't know how different
Obviously.
Catalan is from Spanish, but yeah, in Spanish it would be Jaume Llorens, but
which is yeah. And then I even looked up like the Catalonian pronunciation, and the one that I was given was like I got like two or three of them. I'm like, I'm gonna go with this one. And I started saying that, and she's like, no, it's Mike Smith. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I couldn't even. It was so like off the wall that like I couldn't even like I'm like can you say it like 20 more times?
yeah.
But anyway, no, like he does these diptychs, and it's like and they're really well seen. A lot of times it's based on like the granularity of the detail. Sometimes it's like this one to me it's the tonalities and the shapes of the tonalities are mimicking each other. So he finds these really um, well seen complements in his work of like between one picture and another picture, and he just and the
Relationships.
seam between them is noticeable sometimes, but it's also hidden a lot of times. Like this one, you don't see the seam, but like when you look at his work, you'll start seeing like this repetition or like this mimicry of one subject and another subject, and it's just
And
to
that's
me,
kind of
very well
the
seen.
special thing.
Yeah, it's very
he's really good
evocative,
at it.
and it's not like your typical diptych. I don't feel where it's like two images side by side that complement each other. It's like these two images complement each other, but they also kind of come together to make one. And it's to me that's just like a next level way of seeing, and it's just very, and it's all black and white, and it's very evocative, and it just hits me. So I think
Yeah,
he's
and
definitely worth
he's often trying to present it as seemingly one image.
yeah.
Rather than side by side. I mean, it is side by side, but
And he plays with inversions too. Inversion, like so he'll like take the same photo and invert it tonality, and then like rotate it so they mirror each other. And then he'll blend them so they're not like just meeting in the middle. He might move this one over a little bit more, so it's like a little bit more unbalanced. And he just kind of like he just experiments with just stuff that you don't typically see, and I like that. Makes me think
It looked
about
like
things differently.
it was all black and white too, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like, there's that, I don't know where it's from. Eric, you might have it tattooed on you, but there's a Guy Tall quote. And I don't know if I'm quoting it direct or accurately, so I might be paraphrasing, but it's the photographers that I admire the most are the ones that show me something that I wouldn't have noticed without their like artistic creativity or like something like that. And that's kind of how I feel about his stuff. It's like like these are like little grass daisies or something that are like everywhere. Like I can go outside and like mow over a field of them. But just being able to like take that photo and then just like and I think about the back end of it too, right? Like so he's like out there and then he takes a photo of these grass daisies and he's like, oh, going through his stuff. He's like, hey, this photograph of it looks like water, like a wave. It might even be. I don't know.
I
It
think
looks
what
like
it
he might have
is,
rotated it upside down.
now that you've said that, it's like grass daisies from like a, straight down aerial point of view. And then there's like one that's closer to the lens, like leaning in, and it's like profile.
Yeah, they're like clover flowers. There's some kind of flower, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, he's it's just I love the way that he sees relationships, and it's not all just like the most obvious relationship between the two or the mimicry between the two. Like this one here, like it's not obvious, but they do. The contrast of them fits each other, and I do feel like there is mimicry between the two shapes. It almost looks like they're
Right.
like one like they're meeting in the middle like this instead of like what I mean.
Right.
When I first saw it, my brain told me it was like crashing waves and then like spraying water or something, like water droplets in the air, something like that. That was like my first interpretation, like right off the bat. But
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear. I think when I talked to Matt on F Stop Collaborate and Listen, I brought him up as somebody to reach out to because I'd love to hear more about his process. I've never heard him speak or anything like that. So, yeah, I'm really interested in the process of, when I've been focusing so much on the process lately that when I see somebody that obviously has a different way of doing it, it's not just going out to nature and photographing. There's like definitely something happening in the back end process that I want to hear about. So,
did you look him up, Jimmy? I feel like this is totally up your alley.
No, I recall TJ sharing his work, probably like maybe even like 8 months ago, maybe even a year ago. So I've been following his work as well.
Nice.
But it's I love the, just like the previous image, from Bilbao, with like a totally different take on just familiar forestry or forest images, and he has some images of like murmurations of birds, starlings, some sort of, it's hard to tell what they are, mixed with flowers. It just never would have thought of that.
Yep.
But he does it beautifully. So, but it's just such an interesting take on something that's familiar.
Yeah, I did. He's like probably at the top of my list of like wanting to learn more about his perspective on his own work and his process and stuff. So
That would be a really interesting conversation.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think like someone that has just, they're putting together a different art form and different perspective. It would be really great to hear what goes into something like that, and just their creative process.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Like, I kind of enjoy the mystery, like not knowing, but it's also like I can't help myself. Like, I want to find out, I can't help but be curious.